Welcome to That Card Collectors Podcast with your host, Ian Taylor.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sorry, Josh. See, Josh, because I've kind of got the control board here, I can see what everyone's doing during the end credits. But I don't think any of you can. I can kind of see backstage. Every week, Josh really puts me off because he's air drumming.
Yeah.
To the opening credit music.
It's,
every week without fail.
Get the heart rate going.
The podcast. Yeah, every week without fail, I start the podcast and it just corpse straight away. So we're off to a good start here. We're really showing our professional chops to our guest. So anyway, welcome everybody to That Card Collectors Podcast. My name is Ian. With me this week is Josh.
What it is
Keith.
How you doing?
Is Wesley.
Hello.
Is Jason.
Hello.
Oh, full house. We have a joker in the pack this week. Joining us this week from the I'm gonna forget this now. Certified Trading Card Association. Is that right?
You got it.
Marvelous. Is Nick Jarman, founder and CEO. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I kind of stumbled across you, and I don't mean as in through the woods, your dead body was there and I tripped up when I was running away from someone. I stumbled across you on LinkedIn, of all places, a few weeks back, and I was like, Certified Trading Card Association? Hang on a minute, this looks interesting. So I had a look at it, and you posted that you were kind of, looking to do some more promotion and publicity of it, get the word out. And I was like, this sounds like a perfect opportunity. Let's reach out, and lo and behold, here we are. So Nick, tell us about the CTCA and what it's all about.
Thank you. So the CTCA is a 501c6 nonprofit trade association for the trading card industry. About a year ago at the National, I went there with other purposes, just like anybody else would do. But I left there identifying that, while the hobby was in a great place and things were going very well, it really lacked the infrastructure in place that needed to support its growth. And so literally the night of July 30th, I went home. I incorporated the nonprofit, started the work, and at the end of the day, it's not just a tagline, but we're here to make the hobby safer, smarter, and stronger, and we're here to do it through trust, transparency, and integrity.
Cool. Okay. So how does that work then? Because I'm not sure what where that sits and what function it has. So I see you've got kind of a different kind of ways that folks can get involved. But what's the kind of main function? What does it kind of achieve for its efforts?
So ultimately, we're here to unite everyone in the hobby. We're here to bring everybody together, and we believe in collaboration is better than competition. And there's enough of the pie to go around for everybody. So as a trade association, we want to be the backbone of the hobby. We're not here to replace any company. We're here to support the industry and support the hobby. Whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're a trading card shop, a breaker, whether you're a grading company, we want to welcome you into the association. We want to provide you with the support and the resources that you need, because a lot of times, people are confused. What is exactly a trade association? Well, any industry that has any substance has a trade association, and it's there for, support, networking, advocacy, education, and, ultimately to unify, advocate, and elevate everybody that's in it, and to let everybody know you're not in this alone. So as an example I would use would be a trading card shop owner. They're going through a lot of hard times right now. Allocations are different than the way they used to get them. They're more expensive than how they used to get them. They're competing against big box retailers. Well, prior to the CTCA, prior to years ago, they were battling this alone. They don't have to do that. They can become a member of the CTCA, join one of our working groups, and network with other trading card shops that are dealing with the same issues that they are, and help collaborate, find common ground, and come up with solutions that are collectively in the best interest of that particular niche in the hobby.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you. There was a similar thing. I used to work in live entertainment ticketing, West End and live touring shows. And there's a very similar kind of association in the UK called STAR, which is the Society of Ticket Agents and Retailers. And it kind of did all of those things. And one of the things that did, which it sounds like you maybe aren't there yet, or it's maybe not on your roadmap, is that they were also a consumer kind of for the end user, for the customer. So if someone had a complaint about the way a ticketing company has sold their ticket, if they think that there was hidden costs, or they let them down, or the seats didn't exist, or something like that, you could take it to STAR and they would act on the consumer's behalf. Is that the kind of thing that you foresee you might also be doing once you scale a bit more?
Yes, so we actually just rolled that out about a month ago. We have what's called the CTCA community membership. The CTCA community membership is free to all collectors. And essentially it would provide that type of service. But, what the community member is, they don't have it's not a paid membership. They're not, they don't have voting rights like the trade association members, but they do get access to networking, educational material, different types of programs. And yes, if they do have complaints, or if there are issues that present themselves, they can very well bring those to us, and they have, and we will evaluate them and help make a determination or come to a mutual resolution.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty cool. Wow. Okay. So tell us, you started this just under a year ago, so it sounds like it's come a pretty long way just in that 11 months and change. So I know where you are right now and what you've been doing for the past few days, but for those who are listening who might not, where have you just been? What have you been doing in New York?
So I've been in New York City at Fanatics Fest, having great meetings with everybody that would take a meeting with me, meetings that were scheduled when I came up here. Some things that I can't discuss or divulge at the time, but they will be information that will be released here in the coming weeks. And what I can say is that things are going to get hot and heavy in a good way. I've told everybody, through social media, through friends and family, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's about to get going. And, the last 6 months have been fun, but we haven't seen anything yet. I'm extremely encouraged by the meetings that I've had with multiple individuals and multiple companies. And, the hobby's in a great place. And there's a lot of people that say, are we, in a downturn? Is the hobby going away? Is it going to end? I would challenge them, to come to Fanatics Fest. There was probably 50 to 60,000 people every day. You could barely walk through the aisles. The intensity, the excitement was, top notch. And I think we're only going to see that again in 2 weeks at the National.
Yeah, I mean, I'd not been to a National before last year. Last year was my first one, so obviously it made an impression on me because I'm spending the money and taking the time to come back again. And it was the scale of it was staggering, quite frankly. And I don't know, guys. Keith, you went to the one in Atlanta the other year, am I right?
Atlantic City.
Atlantic's not Atlanta, sorry. But Josh, have you been to one?
No, haven't been to a Nationals yet.
Okay. Wesley?
I haven't not been to a National. I've been to a couple card shows. The closest thing I've been is Comic-Con a couple years. But
oh, that's right. You did that road trip, yeah.
The scale of those, I can only imagine what what the Card Fest or the card shows like with the national being
Yeah.
that huge.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it's absolutely phenomenal. I did read a crazy stat with a big number in that said that the card industry was worth like X billion or something, and it was projected to kind of increase to something even sillier by within 10 years. And I read another stat as well, and I don't know the exact truth of this, but I think the national is now at a scale where that you can count on one hand the number of cities that have the infrastructure to handle
support
it,
it.
which is I think possibly one of the reasons why they've been in Chicago for 3 years, and where they go after Detroit, who knows? Maybe they'll stay in Chicago and sit down after all this time. So Nick, it sounds like your timing is right on that one. I'm curious. What's your background then? Before you had this idea, what brought you to the national last year? Because how does one decide to do this?
So I like to do things a little unorthodox. My background, I've spent 27 years in the debt collection financial services industry. About 14 of those years with the trade association involvement of the debt collection industry. So I saw firsthand what benefits the trade association can do for an industry that's very large and interesting and growing. So when I went to the national, I went with the intention of kind of re-entering the hobby as a seller online, and then looking at within the next year or two doing a brick and mortar shop. We really don't have one in the kind of the outskirts of where I live in St. Louis. And when I got there, for whatever reason, I things happen, and I just kind of thought about maybe I'll just get involved in the trade association of the hobby because I know what the benefits can be. So I went home and researched it, and then found that there was not one, which shocked me. And I immediately, anytime you're in any type of business venture, it's kind of like first one to get there gets the win. And so I was like, there's an opening, let's go get it. I know how to get this. I'm confident in what I can do, and I know that we can bring people together to make this ultimately successful. So that's where the trade association was birthed. As far as getting me back into collecting, if you're familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he has I've followed Gary V for a long time. He brought in a product called V Friends, and so in addition to normal trading cards, that kind of got me a little bit interested into learning more about the hobby again, kind of seeing where it was. And that's what led me to ultimately diving in and starting the CTCA.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's some. Well, it sounds like you got form on the trade association side at least, so you kind of knew. Okay,
Yes.
I can do that here, and you spotted that gap and that opportunity. So I've been looking at your LinkedIn posts, and I went back and I was peeping at what you'd been up to. And it sounds to me like you've already got kind of a good core of people like helping you and kind of come on board. So talk to us about the kind of the people that you've got on board and what they bring to the table, and as much as you can. I know you said it's about to get hot and heavy, and I shuddered when you said that, because that always I like to hear those words said on a podcast. But where that's going to take you next. Obviously, you can't reveal stuff just yet, although we're always up for an exclusive. But yeah,
I'll break the exclusive with you when we can, most likely in a couple weeks. So
Awesome.
We'll commit there here. So really, starting off, I'll just kind of go through some names, but I reached out to anybody that I could when I started. They didn't know me from Adam, and they had no idea about the CTCA. And the first individual that picked up the phone and gave me the time of day, and is still my biggest advisor to this day, is DJ Kazmirasek with Panini America. DJ has been like the godfather of the hobby. He is actually retiring this year, and we had one conversation. I started this July 30th. We had a conversation in September, and he really just bought into the vision and believed that this was needed. And so from DJ, he was able to introduce me to other individuals such as Josh Pankow with Leaf Trading Cards, who is on the advisory board. Josh then, would parlay that into other individuals. But, some of the names that we have an individual by the name of Ryan Bannister. He's got a local card shop, RBI Cruise 7, and he's in Missouri. He's my local card shop, but he's, in my mind, the epitome of what a LCS should be. We have Jeremy Allen, who was with Heritage Auctions and now is with a company called URL All Stars. We have Alex. Yes, he's a great guy. We have Alex Tressler, who is a social media influencer correspondent that's helping us with the media. He's actually one of the main media consultants for the Fanatics Fest, and he's one of 4 of the main media influencers at the National coming up. I'm going to leave some people out, but not intentionally. Chris Galloway of Top Dog Comics in Martinez, Georgia. He was our first member, and he wanted to be involved as much as possible. Jeff Watson of Digital Heroes. He's a shop owner up in Walla Walla, Washington. And he was, did a lot of work with Wizards of the Coast when that came out originally many moons ago. And so he had some institutional knowledge that he was able to bring to us. So, there's still several other ones. And then, just recently, I brought on an individual. His name is Phil. I don't want to butcher his last name. We brought him on board, recently, and he's, kind of helping us on the legal side. And he's with Sealed Wax Nation, which is a nonprofit that, goes around and kind of gives back using trading cards. But, ultimately we've been able to, it's not about what you do, it's about the people you surround yourself with. And, the people that we've been able to surround ourselves with within the CTCA ecosystem is the reason that we're seeing the success that we are and seeing the things come to fruition.
That's fun.
So you mentioned, the team and supporters you gathered, and you said you've been started this about a year ago. What are some of the successes or wins you've had in a year with the CTCA?
So I think one of the biggest initiatives that that we've started. This was recently, and this was started in June, was the GTCR, which is the Global Trading Card Registry. And the Global Trading Card Registry is more about trust and support and infrastructure for the hobby. But right now, what it does is it is a website. It's www.thegtcr.com, and it's a free resource for collectors, shops, law enforcement. Anytime somebody gets a graded card lost or stolen, they can report it to the GTCR. And then anybody that's getting ready to buy a graded card can go on there and search for that slab and that certification number. And ultimately, the purpose behind that is deterrence. We want to help, eventually, as the word grows, thieves will stop thinking it's so easy to turn around and steal cards and flip them really quickly. And we want people a year from now, 5 years from now, to be like, okay, well, before I buy that slab, I need to check the registry and make sure that it's legit. And so you always hear the question, well, what if they reslab it? Well, if they haven't read the news, nobody's grading cards right now anyway. So and thieves aren't patient. So, they're looking for a quick buck. They want to, do what they do, which is unfortunate, and flip it. And so, as we spread the word with that free resource, it will help. So initiatives like that, we've developed the Certified Breaker program, which is a program that we're getting, is out there that's getting ready to launch. We're working with a company called Gaming Compliance International to kind of put a little bit more teeth behind it. But ultimately, our vision is before you go on any of the platforms, we won't name any of them, but that they will have a certification through the CTCA and that they're a certified breaker, and that they have gone through the educational component and other processes that they're going to do things ethically or more morally above board. And that you hear a lot about breaking and issues with breakers. This will be a choice that individuals have. Do you want to do business with a certified breaker, or do you want to do business with somebody that's not certified? And ultimately, we'll evaluate and monitor and keep tabs on those. Another one is we have the trusted retailer program. So it's kind of the same thing. Shops can earn the trusted retailer badge, and then agree to do things, trust, transparency, integrity, take our pledge, and then be honest, transparent, help with educational components. So we've got a lot of tentacles out there. There's so many things that you can do within this hobby right now. I have to be a little bit careful to contain myself on trying to do too many things at once. So, but we've got a lot of stuff going.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. And as far as, so you've gotten a lot of support and some, you've had some big successes so far. Have you had any pushback from other, retailers or other people in the industry that aren't as, on board with this association?
Not necessarily. So, and I can share this. It's not about, there hasn't been really much pushback. Most people that I've talked to, and it's been thousands, they all agree that something needs to be done. They all agree that there needs to be infrastructure, there needs to be the trust, transparency, integrity. And so for those that have not yet got involved, and again, we're still completely in our infancy. A lot of them are waiting on some companies to see what they do, to see what they believe, to see if they make any moves before they do. So I've found that more companies or individuals are, waiting to see what other more larger influential institutions do than come right out and, be an early supporter. And I can understand that. I'm not one of those types of people. If I believe in something, I'm going to go forward with it and be behind it, especially if it's for a good cause. But I get it. Sometimes you want to wait to see what other people do before you go forward. And so that's been the biggest pushback, I would say, that we've heard.
I think it's just a bigger company has more at risk, and they are vetting you just as much as you're vetting them right now, and
Yes.
making sure that you're going to be long-standing and worth their time and getting involved with.
Agreed completely.
Yeah.
It looks like, you got a lot going on. Like, what's your motivation? It feels like maybe you should have some type of origin story or something like that, where something happened and I'm sorry, I put the dog outside, but somebody must have brought her in. Some type of origin story where you're something happened to you and you got figured that you needed this service. What pushes you to work so hard to get this put together?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm just a passionate and relentless individual. Really, when I get my mind set to something, there's no stopping me. People, they always ask you, what's your biggest strength? What's your biggest opportunity? And I've always said relentlessness, because that's something that is really positive, but it is something that can be a weakness as well. And, for me, once we started out on this journey, I just saw that, the hobby brings so much joy to so many people. I remember as a kid, when I was, 7, 8, 9, 11 years old, and my mom would get paid. I came from a single mother. I had no dad involved. We had a single income, so when it was payday, there was, enough money to buy maybe a pack or two of cards. And I'd get that $5 to $7, run down to the gas station from the apartments, open up that pack of cards, and they were all base cards back then, right? We were looking for our favorite players. I was looking for Dan Marino or any Dolphin player that I could find. And, so I remember the joy that it brought me, and I see the joy that it brings to so many people. And I firmly believe that if something doesn't change within the hobby as far as infrastructure and a dedicated decision to, put trust, transparency, and integrity into what we're doing. In 12 or 18 months, things could be different because there's a lot of concern out there. There's a lot of trust concerns. There's integrity concerns. And so the more that we can get people involved and on board, the more that the companies come involved and on board, the better it is for everybody. And, it starts with the young youth generation because they're the future of everything that we do. And, so ultimately, I'm just passionate about the hobby. I'm passionate about doing something that gives back. I've had my run in corporate America, and, I'm ready to, give back and do something that's, much more fun and passionate than, talking to having people repay their debts.
Yeah.
I tell you what I do like about this. I remember seeing, and I can't find it now, which is really vexing me because I've seen it on your website. But there's like a several part pledge that people commit to if they're going to become part of it. And like I said, I've been futzing around while you were answering the last two questions, and for the life of me now, I can't find it on your website because it's quite a lot there.
There is.
Talk to us, and that's not a criticism, by the way. Just I'm trying to do two things at once and failing at both of them. What's just talk to us about that pledge and what you hold retailers and I think breakers to as well for being part of that program.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's really just that, one, that they're going to help make the industry safer, smarter, stronger, and that, that they're going to do things that are trustworthy, transparent, and have integrity. We want to make sure that people, that have these influences, that have these these boards and that they have these audiences that are out there, that they're not taking advantage of people. Like for the breakers, it kind of breaks down, everything from, being transparent with, the odds of what they're doing and the boxes that they have to how they're going to ship it and when they're going to ship it. And, so it's just for each different one, each different, niche within the hobby, we have something for them to do it. But it really comes down to trust, transparency, and integrity. And everything really revolves around that.
I like it. I will find it. I'll probably find it 2 minutes after the podcast finishes because there was one that I particularly liked, which was kind of touching on like well-being.
Yes.
And I think
you're talking about the Healthy Hobby Initiative.
I think probably yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for rescuing me.
And Jason, I should have mentioned that. That's something we're proud of as well. So the Healthy Hobby Initiative was something that was started, to really, do exactly what it is to make sure that the hobby is healthy. And so I teamed up with a company called Collectors MD, which I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they are specialized in the addiction aspect of collecting. So where you have like Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, it's kind of like that. And so if you have somebody that is on a binge of, card spending and they're out of control and they need help, they can go to Collectors MD. So we looked at that and said, that's something that helps the hobby be healthy. It's a resource that's there. We also just teamed up with a company called Grocery Stars. Grocery Stars is about kids, specifically 12 and under, and it's about healthy eating. Mike Valvallo started this company, and I'm hoping to help it grow with them. But they have images of like Saquon broccoli and other types of characters that are out there that kids can relate to. And so we're developing trading cards that are surrounding that, and they're going to be affordable cards, relatable cards to how you can learn the hobby, not have to spend a bunch of money, but get the younger kids involved in it. Because look, we see these videos that go viral of the 12-year-old that pulled the $15,000 manga and is selling the card. That's not realistic. That's not something that is, it's great for show, but it doesn't move the needle to try to make the hobby healthy. And so, we're trying to do something that does make the hobby healthy. And, so if there's other companies that are out there that feel like what their business model does makes the hobby healthy, then we would like to know about it and bring them on, vet them as a partner. And eventually we will go out and get sponsorships from the other larger organizations within the hobby, the manufacturers, the graders, and people that have the big bucks, and help support pushing the narrative and the messaging and the education behind it.
You see, I love this. One of the biggest things that you probably don't know the background of this podcast or me necessarily, or how these guys came on board, but I started 2 groups on Facebook back in 2018 that are now 2 of the largest Facebook groups for Marvel trading cards. So this podcast started as the Marvel Card Collectors podcast. So it was kind of an offshoot of those groups. And one of the biggest challenges we found, especially kind of through COVID and post-COVID, was we would see it day in, day out, where collectors would overspend and get into some debt troubles. And now a lot of that, this is not any shade towards the company that runs it, but a lot of that was Upper Deck EPAC, because it made it very easy, and I've fallen into that well as well. It's very easy to overspend, to just credit card that next 4 packs and hope that you'll get that red flasher and get that dopamine hit, and et cetera. And then after you've got all that, you've got to ship the things home. Well, let's park that cost for the time being. But it's a real regular thing. I think we've all around this table screen seen people crash and burn in the hobby, and probably also being aware ourselves of when it's getting a little bit too much. Well, now with it's super interesting watching how Fanatics are doing their 10xing thing that they're pushing for, and you've just experienced it. The flip side to that is it's very addictive to want to not, the FOMO is real, shall we say. So with the cost of boxes, we are seeing people get into a little bit of bother all over the place. So I love the fact that something like this exists, and with time and with a bit of oomph, it'll be something that people can be more aware of, and that awareness can drive. So what's your, obviously this podcast notwithstanding, what's your kind of goal in terms of awareness? Because you've probably got a bit of a hill to climb before you're as well known as you probably need to be for some of this stuff to really bed in.
Right.
So how are you planning to get that awareness, and that just from the collector's point of view as much as the industry point of view? Yeah,
and that's where I wish I could talk about some things right now, because that hill will be climbed quickly.
Okay, all right.
I think when you put in the work and you put in the effort and you put in the dedication, you surround yourself with the right people, good things happen. And, so between this week at Fanatics Fest, next 2 weeks from now at the Nationals, that's, when we're hoping to be able to, make some announcements. I think things will, accelerate quite a bit. And, we have not done any paid advertising. We have not done any paid marketing. Everything has just kind of been done organically. And that's because most of the time has been really focused on building the infrastructure to support what we're, getting ready to do. And so I think that in a very short period of time, it won't be a matter of whether or not individuals, collectors, companies know about the CTCA. It'll be, whether or not they want to be involved based on who else is involved, and, do they want to be cooperative and do things above board, or do they want to kind of, just remain on the sideline? Because, there'll ultimately be a choice, and there's a choice now, right? Which is, do you want to get on the field and play in the game and be a part of the decision making and the standards and the best practices? Or do you want to be on the sidelines and have all of that dictated to you in the next 6 to 12 months? And so, we are encouraging everybody to get involved in some capacity. Even if it's not with the CTCA, there's not another organization out there that I'm aware of that's doing what we're doing, but, get involved somehow and, make it positive, make it, contributable, and, do something that's in the best interest of the betterment of the hobby. And let's do things that, really put future generations in a great space.
Can I ask a question about just like, hypothetically, is this where you're thinking of going? Because right now, with breakers and stuff, it's the Wild West, in my opinion. Anybody can be a breaker on certain platforms, and I'll leave platform names out. I think that's what you want to do because you might be working with them. Someone decides, okay, I ripped a bunch of stuff and now I'm in trouble. So now I'm going to be a breaker. So I can still continue to get my dopamine hit, and now I'm a breaker. So now they go on to this platform and they become a breaker. And then they start having, practices that aren't quite what you want to see because, again, they're in trouble and they're doing what they're doing, and the breaking is not on the up and up, the packaging, all that stuff. So the goal would be you want the platform to take on requiring your certifications and then make it so that those breakers need those certifications to be featured on the platform in specific aspects. They'd still be able to be, anybody can be a breaker, but you want to be able to have this kind of like niche thing that validates for customers that are online and doing these breaks and stuff like that. They're in good hands with this particular breaker. And it's not a word of mouth thing, because you could be a word of mouth breaker for years before someone finds out it's your posse that's just saying that you're a great guy. And all of a sudden people are, having issues. Is that, I had to dumb it down to my level. So did I dumb it down properly to like that's?
I don't think you. Yeah, it's perfectly stated. So we're not working with any platforms right now. Our goal is to work with all of them. We want to do it in whichever way is going to benefit the end collector, right? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to protect the collector in this regards. And also we want to protect the good breakers. So we want to protect the collector and the good breakers. We don't want to, allow the bad breakers to get over on people. So, our pitch to the platforms is going to be, here is this program. And, we recommend that you take this program and adopt it to where it, at a minimum, your breakers go through level 1, level 2, whatever that may be, of the CTCA certified breaker program, so that there is at least some establishment of integrity and trust and transparency. And then from the breaker standpoint, then they would need to go through the process to do that. As a member of the CTCA, there is no cost in addition for them to get that. And that is the ultimate objective, is to get that. And then I think what that does is it provides a level of comfort for the collector. It provides a level of comfort for the platform. And then ultimately it provides a level of comfort for different regulators that may be looking at the hobby and saying, this is very interesting. Some of these things are questionable. Should we get involved and start regulating this?
I know exactly where you're going with that.
And we can look at this and say, no, we're self-regulating this. And these were the issues pre-certification. These are the issues post-certification. And we've made a multitude of difference and a positive impact. And then if a platform does not want to be involved in it, the breaker can still become a certified breaker, and that differentiates them from their competition. But ultimately, I do think that it'll be embraced. It's not like there's a big paywall to stop them. It's just they're going to have to put forth a little bit of effort.
That was my next question. Like, so for, let's say, a platform were to adopt what you're doing and wanted to have a little sticker on the page of someone that's going live right now, what would that look to them? And then what does it look like for the breaker too, as far as costs to sign up and do all this?
So that's still in the works as far as costs. Like right now, if somebody wanted to be a certified breaker, they just need to join the CTCA as a member, which is $400 a year for the annual due, and then go through the breaking process at the development process, which is no additional cost. As far as for the platforms, that's something that we're working with another outside company with, and then we're actually becoming engaged with them and some other companies that are larger to determine, one, are they interested in it? And if they are interested in it, what does it look like from their perspective? But, we're not here to, we are a nonprofit organization. So we're not here to put a big deterrent to, like I said, put a big paywall in front of it to, make it to where, people can't afford to do it. Because at the end of the day, this hobby is one thing that I've learned, and I still don't understand. And Ian, you mentioned the gravity of just how large this hobby is from a value perspective. It's so large. I mean, just in the U.S. I mean, forget about in the U.K. and in the world. I still don't have my arms wrapped around the gravity of how big this hobby is, and it's just growing exponentially every single day with new entrants coming into the hobby, and that's why it's so important that we act and that we act now.
Everything is a piece of cardboard right now. You could find anything on a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
I had one other question just as far as the breaker sign up process and what that looks like. Is there, like, I don't know how far I'm thinking off in the tangent here. Is there like a policy as far as, so now I sign up as a breaker and I give you my handle and stuff like that. Will you guys watch how I break in any way, or police in some way, like almost like the ABC does with alcohol? Like they'll occasionally join go to a bar, send an underage minor in or whatever, try to get them not carded, etc. Is there something like that in place just to make sure that they're up, or will it all be reporting based? Like if someone does something wrong, they get reported.
So we, complete transparency, because that's what we're all about. So we're still growing. And so, right now it would be it would be reported into us, any type of issues. But we will be, our plan is to build an audit team that, would be doing that along with auditing other aspects of, the different other certifications that we put out there. But, yes, that is something that's in the works. But that's something that is a little bit down the line.
That's very cool, though. Like I like the idea of it in concept that I join a stream, I see a little sticker, and I get a warm and fuzzy feeling, and I know I'm in good hands no matter what I do from here out. Right?
Yeah,
that's something the consumer wants.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that the consumer wants. And so from that aspect, I think this is all a great idea. There is a lot, though. Like I browsed what you were getting into, and I'm just like, I don't know how he's going to get all of this done all at the same time. This guy's nuts. But again, credit to you. Good job so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Appreciate it.
What about personally? I know do you collect something in particular that what's your passion?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit, lately I've put a little bit of my personal collecting on the back burner, focusing on building the CTCA, and that's where the resources have gone. But, I do like collecting V-Friends, but aside from that, I'm a diehard Dan Marino collector. I will collect anything Dan Marino. I'm also, being from Jacksonville, I do collect a lot of things from Jacksonville players, people that I grew up with. So I'm a big Udonis Haslem from the Miami Heat collector. I try to collect what I can from him. Chipper Jones from the Braves. We went to Bowles High School in Jacksonville. Like to collect him. Brett Myers from the Phillies, Jacksonville boy. Tim Tebow, Nice High School out of St. Augustine. So my collection is more hometown heroes type of thing, and fortunately they're cheaper.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a fabulous little kind of focus. There's someone, I can't remember, and that's right, Tim, Slab Strong Tim, over at BCW, as I'm sure you've experienced him or come across him. He collects something super focused on where he comes from, but for the life of me, I can't remember exactly what it was now. But whoever this sports person was, they only had a few cards, and Tim has most of the graded copies that exist. I can't remember who it is now, so I'm going to stop talking about it because I'll do it in this and it will send me off the national in a few weeks' time. So, just give me an example, if you like, and obviously, you can't share the details of who. But give me an example of the day in the life of Nick as you're trying to get this up and running with 11 months under your belt and quite a big boom about to happen. Give me a day in the life of Nick, either Fanatics Fest or the National, in terms of how you plan that, how you get that in, and how many people you're speaking to and arranging meetings with?
At the at like Fanatics Fest International.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
as an example.
So, I mean, initially it's, those that I've reached out to that I need to meet in person, or those that have reached out to me that we need to sync up with. Fanatics Fest was more geared toward specific companies that were here. And then, other types of, trading card shops and some of the breaking companies that were here that, I've exchanged multiple messages with, and, we've had conversations with. It was a lot of, getting in, meeting them in person while everybody's here. So that, Fanatics Fest was that. The National will be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit busier. There's, my entire advisory board will be there. So, we're going to be, trying to, either get together all at once, which will be pretty difficult. But
it'll be your first AGM, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
In person. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so at least if we're not able to all get together in person, then, because we get together quarterly on our advisory board calls, then, I'll get with them individually. So there's 14 of them right now. And then, of course, there's some very big meetings that are scheduled to take place at the National. And then, between now and 2 weeks, I have no idea what's going to happen with scheduling. And then
I was going to ask, are you going to be just showed up for the next, because you got Fanatics Fest, and then in 2 weeks you got Chicago, and then are you going to SDCC also?
No, so I'm going to be taking a breath after the National because there'll be a lot of work to do. And there'll be a lot of, a lot of things that need to be focused on and to get going where it needs to go. So, Fanatics Fest was kind of a last minute trip out. And the National, of course, was, is always planned for the last couple of years, at least going. And I wish people would let me talk about things because, it pains me. I got to put some subliminal hints out on social media that big things are coming, and, but I'm restricted to talk about a couple things that are so exciting. But, we'll break them here first with you, Ian, and, but hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, those will be able to be talked about. But, I don't know what my day in the life will look like 2 weeks from now.
Wow. Okay. I love that. You're literally almost chewing your knuckles off.
Yeah. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it from him too.
Yeah. It's like he's there under the table, just pinching himself. Don't say anything. Whenever you see Tom Holland go out and do press for a new Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah.
And he's the worst at dropping something he shouldn't do.
Yeah, they got people follow him around.
I know, literally, and they've had to hire extra people following him around. So I get this feeling. Yeah,
right.
They're in the audience with blow dart guns,
with an electric prod that's ready there to give Nick a good old shove if he says the wrong thing. Wowzers. Okay, are you So how long? When are you at the National? Because I'm sure you've got a really busy schedule, but it'd be love to at least shake your hand and spend a couple.
Oh, absolutely. Right now, I'm scheduled to get in Thursday morning.
Okay.
So I'll be there Thursday through the end of Saturday.
Okay. Good. Wow, the busy days.
Yeah, go get a pint together.
What's that?
Go get a pint together.
Oh yes, there'll be many pints. Oh dear, Josh, are you going yet? Do you know if you're going or not yet?
No.
You don't know if you're going or you're not?
No,
going?
I won't be able to go. Won't be able to make it.
Oh, you won't be able to go. All right, my liver will have some bandwidth then, Nick. Because if Josh was going to turn up,
just a little bit of
it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll be kind of getting up at 2:00 each day and wondering how much of the National I've actually missed. Good. Oh, this is exciting. I kind of want to ask you loads of stuff, but I know you can't say because it's all about. It's you know that bit where the roller coaster goes up and it's been going up and up and up and up, just at the top, and everyone's just going to put their arms up because they're about to go down the other side. It's about to all kick off. I get the feeling you're there.
Yeah, that's what my wife, my mom, my kids. I'm like, just wait. I tease them a little bit, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't trust you on social media, kids. So, you'll end up commenting on a post.
Fair enough. Fair
Nick,
enough.
I have to imagine, like Jason was asking you earlier about your interactions with the vendors and manufacturers and people as you start to try to, get involvement and bring people together. And it seems like it's been pretty overwhelmingly positive in a short period of time, which I can understand from being a very, all 100%, go after something that kind of puts fuel to the fire. I have to imagine that kind of reaffirms, I'm in the right space here. There's definitely a need for this in the hobby. And there's a bunch of stuff I realize now I can't ask you about, but MegaCon here, MegaCon being such a big, that was my overwhelming entity where I didn't realize it had such a card presence as well as cosplay and so many other things. But the amount of trading card vendors and stuff there grew from year to year from what I noticed. And is a venue like that, is something like that somewhere where you guys could possibly get some involvement with? And
Yeah.
I feel like
So
they have some.
the initial plan has been to, really look at having a big show presence for the CTCA in 2027. 2026 was more of growth and infrastructure and trying to get things in alignment. But yeah, whether it's MegaCon or Comic-Con or Fanatics Fest or, the national, like I was out at the Columbus Card Fest, that Card Collector 2 puts on, and Brad Beeman, they do a great job. There was, 600 tables. We had a table there. We had, collectors come up and other vendors and, kind of met with them and kind of expose what we're doing. So, there'll be a lot more of that next year, when we do stuff. And there'll be a lot of it around what I envision the Healthy Hobby Initiative, of having, resources available and different partners there with us, and, a bigger presence and bigger booth that, can understand, at the end of the day, what we're looking for. Because, look, let's face it, these manufacturers, these large trading, these large companies, they have a lot of money, and, it's okay for them to put some back into the hobby and invest it into education and invest it into making the hobby better and getting the word out that, there are resources available, that there are things that, you can do to help influence kids and even adults in some degrees. And so, we really look forward to being able to have that at a show's presence.
So I was actually at, that's where I'm from, is Columbus. So I was
nice.
I was at that show. I had a little table there in the back for my gym and trying to sell memberships and sell cars at the same time. But what did you think of Columbus and that whole show?
I like Columbus. I love the show. I went to Shipshewana Card Fest that they put on, which was, in Shipshewana, Indiana, in the middle of nowhere with horse-drawn carriages. And I thought that show was good. But the Columbus Card Fest, I think they did a fantastic job. I think the attention to detail that Brad and Ryan put into it were great. They maxed out the tables. I think next year they'll break down a wall and, there'll be, 800 more tables. But, the traffic both days were very good. And I think everybody enjoyed it from the people that I talked to.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. I just wasn't, I thought for sure that it was a, Friday, Saturday show. I was just curious why. Was it just not enough people for Sunday, or was Friday and Saturday better?
I think they just set it up. It was the first time they'd ever done it. So I think it, rather than shoot yourself in the foot and, go and do a Sunday, they probably just went with the comfortable Friday, Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised with, Columbus showed up, for that show. That's for sure.
Did you hit any card shops while you were here?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
No, I actually brought my 17-year-old daughter, and I had her at the booth. She was at the table, and she was going around and, trying to make deals on some packs of Disney Chrome. And I was like, get the Be Friends or find me some Dan Marino cards. But she had a great time.
Did you get to enjoy the show in any aspect? Did you walk the whole floor? Like, what was the coolest thing you saw there?
I did. Just the networking for me. I meeting people. That's the best thing about the hobby is, walking around and seeing the kids and seeing the father and son, the father and daughter relationships, and even the mothers that are there with their kids. It was just overall the family atmosphere. I think the hobby does something that other things just can't do. And it's bringing people together. And so my biggest takeaway was just meeting the people. And most of the vendors that I talked to there, they weren't even really card shops. They were just what they call themselves weekend warriors. And they are there and they were loving the show. And my understanding was there was a competing show not too far away. And so they, had to figure out which one they were going to. So I think, the next year, the timing, might be something that they look at, as well.
I would think Fanatics Fest takes that cake. I can't think of.
Oh, Fanatics Fest is on another level. The Fanatics Fest is, it's only what they describe 25% cards, 75% sports and entertainment. So from my understanding, there was only 250 card tables, which seemed about right. And then, it took up, this is my first time to the Javits Center, but it took up the entire Javits Center. So, I listened to a couple people say, I don't know where they're going to have it next year because it's already outgrown the Javits Center and this is its third year. And
you can go to MSG. You'd have to go to MSG.
Yeah. I mean, because and you know what, Taylor and Travis's wedding cost a couple million, and Michael put in 90 million for this, so I'm sure he can get MSG.
You got multiple floors at least, so yeah, that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, it was so yesterday. Obviously, I'm not there today, but yesterday was so packed. Just walking. I didn't even go on the show floor yesterday. I had meetings off on the floor in the second level by the food court, and it was so packed walking in and out of the outer realm. I can't imagine.
I didn't go.
It was an experience. I mean, just to see Tom Brady smack Logan Paul and Libby Dunn dropping shots and Kevin Hart going off on. I mean, Jay-Z walking out there. It's just amazing what they put together. Michael Rubin, Mike Mahan, the whole team there.
I find it interesting how many stars are actually fans of wrestling and how involved they get with the WWE aspect of Fanatics. It's hilarious watching them get involved. I think that's really, really cool for them. Yeah. And for WWE as a brand to have, Tom Brady come out of a casket pretending to be the Undertaker.
Absolutely. With his eyes.
Like, come on.
Did that happen?
It did happen.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that
video
scene, everybody remembers at WrestleMania when the Undertaker came out of the casket. And I mean, that stuff was legendary. Yeah. For them to that they were watching that stuff too, and they loved it like you.
Justin Bieber came out in an NWO shirt and started a concert. Come on.
Yeah, he's the leading Fanatics Fest, right? He's leading the games right now. He's the leading celebrity right now in the Fanatics Fest games.
Wow,
he's beating Tom Brady right now.
This is a whole new world. It really is. I tell you what, it sounds to me. Someone once said to me, Nick, and it sounds to me like you're of this wavelength. Networking is only one vowel away from not working. And I've always took that as to be good advice, and it sounds like you're pretty darn good at it. But one thing I will say is that when last year at the National was probably my first card show, full stop. Because there are some in the UK now that are starting up. But my focus has always been on the American side of the hobby, even though I live in England, because that's what I've always aspired to and enjoyed and collected. So when I was coming up, Marvel cards with a thing, but they were very much an Americana thing, so that's the attraction for me. So obviously I'm going to the National. I'm very aware of the fact there's probably not going to be much Marvel there, and that was fine. For me, it was just about opening up myself to all other parts of the hobby, like the sport part of it, other non-sports IPs, card companies, things like that. Very much a learning curve. And I have to say, I say this, and people kind of roll their eyes, but I say, for last year's Fanatics, I went for the cards. I came away with memories of the people. So that, for me, was the bigger experience. And that's what I'm looking forward to this year. I've got stuff I'm going to be looking for. But for me, it's about seeing the guys at Upper Deck, seeing friends that I've done content with, seeing folks that I've met through the hobby, who, some of whom I've not met physically before. But, yeah, I count them as friends. So that for me, is a big deal. And I imagine that can be quite overwhelming for you now when you're walking in and so many people might recognize you, and you'll be like, it will take you like 2 hours to get 100 yards because everyone wants to come and say hello. It's like, forget about Tom Brady walking the floor. It's Nick from the CTCA.
Well, we're not there yet. But if we ever get to that point, we'll be humble, and we'll be respectful of being able to get to this point, and knowing that ultimately, this is, what I hope is that in 5 years from now, people don't remember that Nick Jarman started the CTCA. What I hope is that people remember that the CTCA helped make the hobby safer, smarter, and stronger, and that it was because of the hobby coming together, being more collaborative and competitive, and doing that with trust, transparency, and integrity. Yeah. That's ultimately the objective.
All right, well, amen to that. So if someone's listening or watching this, where can they go? Give a bit of plug to your websites, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to go to our website, which is www.thectca.org, and then on pretty much any social media, it's at the CTCA.
Grand. So if I'm a collector and I'm just really, I want to become part of this, what should I be looking for when I go to your website? What's because you've got different streams for different, where people are in the hobby.
If you're a collector at heart and you want to get involved and eventually be a part of when we start with the newsletters and the content and the education and some of the materials that we're going to put out on the main page, there's three. You go down a little bit, there's 3 different levels, and it says community membership. You just click on community member, you sign up, there's no cost, it gets you registered, and then come September 1st, that's when we're going to start launching we've got a podcast that we're launching, we've got a newsletter that we're launching, we've got different things that are happening, and they'll be the first to find out and the first to get exclusive materials and news and insights.
Cool. And I imagine if I'm a breaker and I want to get involved, same website.
Same website, one box down. Right now, we are we'll continue to accept members as industry members. But for the first 100 members that we get, they will be considered the founding industry members. They will there's a unique kind of gold blue badge that we'll have. They'll always have exclusive perks that we do as we grow. And so, that's something that, we're going to start pushing a little bit harder here in the next couple of weeks, but it would still be the same website. Yes. And that would be for any professional organization, business. They would all come into as an industry member right now, a founding industry member. And then eventually, within the next several months, we're going to separate those into different subgroups so that breakers will be, access to breakers, and shops with shops, and grading companies with grading companies, and so forth.
Cool. Wow. Okay. It sounds like all the kind of verticals are covered on that one. I'm struggling to think of anything else to ask you at this point. Other than this is super interesting. And have you spoken to? We had a rather interesting chap on about 3 months ago, and I'm still got slight scorch marks from the energy that came off him. James Ferree, who runs Sports Wax Promotions.
I was thinking about him the whole time.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
He does. You two should connect then.
Definitely.
I'll connect you on email. He runs shows across the Carolinas, north and south, and he's been doing it for 4 years now, guys. Am I
Something like
remembering
that.
right? About 4 years, and
Yeah.
he's just he's doing about 8 shows a year. I think he just had his largest one. I think it was Collector's Jam. I think he was saying he had about 700 tables. And
Wow.
he literally, I mean, he's keeping it focused on that kind of area of the country. But yeah, he's an enthusiastic chap.
He
His
himself
content's
is
great.
something to meet, no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah.
That his
Yeah.
content's great, and then I think that he has a vision for how shows should run.
Yeah.
Okay,
And, you know,
awesome.
and that's his biggest thing, is making the show experience the best it can be for the consumer.
Well, his
Yeah.
tagline is "The show is here."
Yeah.
You know, he has T-shirts, and he does all his content pieces before the show, during the show, after the show.
Yeah.
You know, so you get a real sense of it, and his real focus on families. But
Nice.
also, you know,
Yeah.
they've had they had Alan Iverson at Collector's Jam, I think,
Oh.
signing. So he's pretty big deal. I think
Yeah.
Alex Army ATC, he'll know of him because I think he's been at a few of his shows.
Okay,
And I know that people like Talon Sports Cards go there as well. So he's on that level.
got
You
it.
know, he's getting up there. So yeah. But if I can claim to have done nothing with my life this week, then I can at least say that I might have connected Nick Jarman and the CTCA with James Frew at Sportsmax Promotions. So
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to do that as soon as we finish this. I'm going to write an email.
He seemed to have a very similar approach in the sense that he cares about protecting the experience. It matters to him, not just the hobby, but the experience of the card show. And what you can take from that, like Ian was saying, the people that, you know, he took from nationals thinking, you know, this is about cards. And so it's awesome in that sense. And he was very, you know, like he said, he had a vision and he was willing to go and do what it took to push that forward. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, you guys seem very, very similar.
Yeah. No, as soon as once you started talking, I was thinking about it. Keith was thinking about it. We were all like thinking, I wonder if these guys know each other, because it's just like you're saying the same thing. Sorry, Wesley, carry on.
I was just saying, like, that he said something in the beginning that really stuck with me, that you know, collaboration over competition. And you know, a lot of people are all about competition and what drives them, and just get it past that and make friends. And that's me. Is it keeps running through my head. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, exchange of good information, man. It's beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, there's enough pie out there for everybody to eat.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
some of us like to eat more pie than others, is clearly this is why I'm not standing up. Can I just say, I feel a bit left out here. 50% of the people on this podcast have caps on, and I usually have a cap within reaching distance so that I can pimp Upper Deck. And they're all packed, ready for the Nationals, so I don't have any. So I'm
And the other three have questionable hairlines exposed.
We do, yes. Josh is just upset he can't see the swoosh today.
Yeah.
Nick, this has been fantastic. I mean, you probably need a rest, but you strike me as the kind of guy who will get home and rather than just chill out for a bit, you'll be straight back at it, getting the emails off, booking in some calls, booking in some meetings, doing your next bit of content on socials. I need to ask you how you're creating some of the visuals for your socials, by the way, because I'm all about finding new tools to do that stuff, because the stuff I've got on here is just not quite cutting it at the moment. So I'll grab you for some tips afterwards.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is fascinating. I urge everyone listening to go to the website and at the very least sign up as a community member and see what's going on. And I'm very much looking forward to shaking your hand and hopefully sharing a pint of ale, or at the very least a coffee at the National, because I'm sure you're going to have plenty of people wanting to do the same. And if you have that many pints of coffee or beer, you're going to be in a mess. But yeah, all Godspeed to you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm deeply impressed with what I've seen so far, which is why I was keen to have you on here. I remember when I said to the guys, I sent it in the chat, and I'm not going to single anyone out, but at least one of you said, I'm not sure what it is. So do you collectively now feel that you know what's going on here?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Then
At least for me
mission
and what
is
I would
accomplished.
want it to do, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who knows? I mean, I'm sure it will organically grow and change as people's needs become apparent as well. I mean, it sounds like you've got a good crew around you and you're getting good info, but like you said, the hobby's so big, there could be something that you've just not foreseen that people say, oh, we could really use that. So I'm sure your emails are open for any advice.
Absolutely.
Suggestions on that front. Nick, safe journeys home. Thank you for making the time in your Marriott hotel room in New York this morning. I'm sorry you didn't make it back, but at least you made it work, and that the hotel Wi-Fi was good enough to make this happen. So thank you. I'd say at this point, Nick, do you remember how we lead out our podcast? Do you remember how we sign off?
I think I do. And that would be to enjoy collecting.
He's a professional. Look at this.
Man's
I
a
hate
pro.
when they get it. I hate when they get it. It's better when they don't.
It's better when
Get it right.